Hey, it's Josh here, the pastor at Downey First Christian Church, and you may be wondering why we're still holding outdoor services even though the weather is getting much colder, or why we had everyone in their cars last week in the windy weather participating through their radios while we have a perfectly functioning auditorium that can comfortably hold us all. Or simply, why are we still meeting outside when many churches have gone indoors? The answer is pretty simple. Our government has asked us not to for the safety of our community. It is simply not legal to do so. When we read Romans chapter 13 or 1 Peter chapter 2, we learn that God has established governing authorities. Therefore, he calls us to submit to them. In fact, the apostles who wrote these passages go so far as to say that refusing to submit to our authorities is active rebellion against what God has established. In Mark chapter 12, we also see Jesus speaking the famous line, "Give to Caesar what is Caesar's and to God what is God's," when he's asked about the unfair tax burdens of the first century. So it becomes clear that we should submit to our governing authorities whether or not we agree with them. But here's a question. This is something that many people have asked me and many Christians. Maybe you're asking yourself this question. Isn't God our ultimate authority? And if God is our ultimate authority, shouldn't we be able to disobey oppressive governments like Daniel and his friends did when they were told that they were not allowed to worship God? Or like Peter and John did when they were before the Sanhedrin as they were demanded to stop preaching about Jesus? Shouldn't we be able to do the same thing, to obey God rather than man? Shouldn't we be able to claim God's higher power when our government tells us that we cannot meet indoors? Can we just bypass our government? It's a good question. And what it boils down to is this. When are we allowed to bypass governing authorities to obey God instead? My conviction is that we are allowed to do so when we face persecution. Meaning, when we are called to disobey our governing authorities, we can disobey our governing authorities, but only when they are asking us to disobey God. And when our governing authorities demand that we disobey God, that's when our church is being persecuted. And that's when we can and should rebel. I know that many people believe that the church in this country is being persecuted through recent government decisions and all this stuff, but I honestly don't believe that is true. In fact, I would say that for Christians who do live under oppressive regimes where their safety and their lives are being threatened because of their faith in God, the difficulties that we are facing to them seem rather minor. So let me ask you this, and this is for us pastors and for every Christian out there. I want you to think about this. I want you to be honest. Have we been asked to stop speaking about Jesus? Have we been told that we cannot disciple others? Can we read our Bibles without being threatened? Can we take communion? Are we free to baptize new believers? If we are still free to exercise our faith in these ways and many other ways, then I believe that we are facing difficulties, but not persecutions, at least at the moment. However, I believe that persecution may be just around the corner. And for that, I believe that we need to be prepared. But the troubles we are facing today, as the government asks us not to meet inside in large gatherings for the safety of our church and our neighbors, I don't think that that's persecution. So I pray that you're encouraged and that you will join us in praying for our government and that you will participate with us, whether online or in person as you are able. Also, thank you so much for being patient. I promise we will get through this. I love you. Have a great day.